Wiping your raid group on the final boss is the last thing you want to be doing, and with this guide you'll learn how to avoid it when fighting Sylvanas. This is a challenging fight, even on LFR and Normal, which is what this video is about, so if you're looking for additional strategies, I suggest you dig a little deeper. Also, there's a cool way for you not to have to remember all the abilities and be constantly reminded of them, but I'll get to that at the end of the video. My name is Sylvanas from momsden.com, and if you're here for the first time, subbing is a good idea. I do simple guides for classes, raids, and collectibles you'll enjoy if you like getting some easy in-game wins. You'll also see me live stream on this channel quite a lot, so drop by and say hello. Sylvanas Windrunner is the last boss of the raid and has 3 phases to it. The whole encounter is a chase, and you'll be moving through 3 different combat platforms, all the way to Orbos. Each stage has different things you need to overcome, and I'll go through them separately so you can understand them better. In phase 1, the most important thing is to remain loosely spread on the platform, as there's a lot of stuff that'll just mess you up if you stay stacked. Some of these mechanics stay throughout the fight, and some are only present in this stage, like the Dominion chains, but I'll get to that. The first thing I'd like to talk about is Windrunner, which is basically Our Lady teleporting all across the platform and going crazy with different abilities. Some players get hit with Withering Fire, which is a ton of damage that leaves a bleed debuff called Barbed Arrow, and you can only get rid of it if you're caught with Dominion chains that frequently spawn. However, if the chains get a hold of you, make sure you don't actually get pulled towards them, and try to help your teammates who get caught by killing off any of the chains you can reach. However, if you're trying to get snatched to remove your debuff, make sure to stand near one of the spawn places to become a good candidate. There's also the Desecrating Shot, spawning arrows on the ground that you'll need to get away from, as well as Shadow Dagger, which strikes random players with a dot, requiring the healer's special attention during the next 9 seconds. Another nuisance is the Veil of Darkness, causing Sylvanas to jump onto a non-suspecting player, casting a shroud that deals a bunch of damage and also applies heal absorption to anyone who gets hit, causing only 25% of incoming heals to go through. To avoid getting hit, just stay out of the fog area and you're golden. Phase 1's tank debuff is the Wailing Arrow, dealing damage to both the tank and the whole raid upon expiration. However, if the targeted tank runs further from the raid, everyone will receive way less damage, so if this is you, try to get as far as possible for when the explosion happens. Lastly, we've got the Ranger's Heartseeker, which are stacks that Sylvanas gains every 5 seconds. Once she's at 3 stacks, her Ranger shot gets replaced with the Ranger's Heartseeker that both deals shadow damage and applies a stack of Banshee's Mark when she hits the tank. Each hit demands a taunt swap, as the mark applies an 18-second dot that feels really bad to have, especially if you've got more stacks. At 83% of Sylvanas' HP, there's a short intermission marking the end of phase 1. During this time she can't get damaged, but she's highly committed to killing you with all the ground mechanics that you should do your best to avoid. The most prominent mechanic is the Domination chains, but we shouldn't forget Rive and Riven Debris, which are just lines and other floor stuff you need to focus on avoiding. There's also the Banshee Wail, damaging players and their nearby friends and interrupting their casts for the next 3 seconds while at it. The way to deal with this is to spread and stop all casts before the debuff expires so you don't get additionally silenced. This is also something to get used to, as Sylvanas will continue to do it until the end of the fight. Once you're done with the intermission, you'll get teleported to another area in order to start phase 2 and chase Sylvanas. Jaina and Thrall will help you by creating bridges that lead across platforms to help you progress, and there are also some phase 2 adds that are also something we'll talk about in this section, as they are not to be ignored. Something super important for this stage is to interrupt Sylvanas' Ruin cast, which is just a wipe that can't be avoided if it goes through. Upon interrupting, you'll have a bit of time to deal damage to Sylvanas, as she'll be vulnerable for the next 45 seconds. Always interrupt Ruin, save cooldowns for after you've done it, and things will be well, hopefully. There's an annoying mechanic that may cause you to fall off the platform, but hopefully not if you're patient and careful. Sylvanas will release a Haunting Wave, which is basically a bunch of black projectiles that you need to not rush into and avoid, even if it causes you to stay behind for a while. If you get hit, you'll get pushed back and potentially end your performance in this encounter, so be careful and don't rush, as there's really no need to. Sylvanas will also cast Veil of Darkness in phase 2, but it will look different than in the previous phase. As the space is limited, instead of one big circle, you'll have multiple smaller ones to deal with by dodging them. This cast can be baited, and if you can work together in any way, try to do it on one side of the encounter space while moving to the other side to remain safe. Apart from dealing with Sylvanas, there will be 3 ad waves you'll also need to beat in order to progress into the next phase. The smaller and less important ones are Mawsorn Vanguard and Mawsorn Hopebreaker ones. Vanguard's accursed might stacks will cause them to deal more damage and move faster, so just kill them before they become OP. The Hope Breakers will destabilize players, slowing them down, dealing damage, and stopping them from getting properly healed until the ads are killed, so it's probably smart to do it. There are other ads that'll cause you to treat them with special attention, and those are called Mawforged Soul Judge, Mawforged Summoners, and the Mawforged Goliath. Apart from having to kill them off quickly, you should also dispel Soul Judge's Crushing Dread on cooldown and kill the Decrepit Orbs ASAP, as they'll hurt you more upon dying if they live for a long time. Goliaths will gain stacks of Fury, making them hurt harder and faster, so the tanks need to swap at around 10 or 15 stacks in order to not, well, die from the damage. Once you catch up with Sylvanas and interrupt her last ruin, you'll be teleported into the Arbiter's room, marking the beginning of Phase 3. Sylvanas will still have a bunch of HP, but the combat will be ending at 50%, so don't worry about spending the next 45 minutes on this boss. You'll be seeing 4 platforms and prepare to be moving from one to another when circumstances demand it, as they'll be getting destroyed. There will be damage puddles on the ground caused by the Banshee's Bane. Those can and should be dispelled by someone, preferably the tank, picking them up from the floor by walking through them, and getting in the corner of a platform to be dispelled, as that will cause all the puddles to spawn in the corner where no one's gonna be willingly going. It's like sweeping the floor and leaving the trash in one pile to be picked up later on. Very simple. Basically, in order to have more space later on, the puddles from all the platforms need to be moved to the corner of a platform Sylvanas is currently on, as that one will soon be destroyed and you'll move around on the other ones with no problem at all. Veil of Darkness will also be a thing here, and you still need to be getting yourself out of it, so managing the space well is quite important. When she starts casting the Veil, spread out and then stop moving completely until the cast is over. There will also be Shadow Daggers thrown all over the floor, and those should be dodged simply by moving out of the lines. Also beware of the Banshee Scream, which works just like the Banshee Wail from Phase 1 and 2. If you are marked with a wailing arrow, be very careful and try not to wipe everyone on your platform, as you can actually do it here. What you need to do is go to another viable platform in order to deal less damage to everyone else, and then come back if the group isn't coming to the platform you escaped on. If you're on the last platform, your only option is to jump onto the middle platform to save everyone else, but if your class isn't particularly mobile, you may not be able to come back, but that's okay. Sylvanas will also be casting Raise during this stage. It's incredibly important for everyone to move to another platform before each cast is over, as you won't be able to do it later on and you'll just die from all the damage. And that's all there is when it comes to beating Sylvanas in the Sanctum of Domination. If you're having trouble with forgetting any of these mechanics, there is an easy fix for that, as you can download these and other Sanctum cheat sheets if you're a channel member on YouTube or Patreon, and you can keep them open on your second screen or device and be reminded of what you need to do. Thanks to everyone who's been supporting the content, as they are the main reason why the How Not to Wipe series is on the channel. In the pinned comment, you'll find a link to the full playlist with other simple Sanctum guides that'll guide you through the raid. And with that, we're concluding the series. I hope you enjoyed it, and for me, making these guides has been an honor and a great privilege. Wherever the road may take you, farewell, and I'll see you around. Good luck, and bye-bye.